Hello everybody and welcome to That's Football. We're reacting to Gareth Southgate England World Cup 22 squad. I think it's outrageous, to be honest. I'm not bothered. I will say what I think. I think it's a ridiculous squad. It stinks of the normal favouritism, conservatism that you would expect from Gareth Southgate. It stinks of the very safe approach that England normally take. And it also stinks of a manager that really just needs to be sacked after the World Cup, because there's no future planning in that squad, which we'll get into. It's favourites FC. I know certain people around that England camp, and you can probably figure out who they are. And they do like Southgate. They really like Southgate. He's a nice guy, but honestly, the perception of his training is that it belongs in the Championship. He's a good guy. He's a nice guy. He's not a top coach, and the players don't think he is either. They look forward to linking up with England because it's with their mates and it's a good camaraderie and everyone gets on really well. But the standard of coaching is a joke. We've got a really, I've not got a lot bad to say about that England squad, whether it's Declan Rice, Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, Harry Kane, Luke Shaw, Mason Mount, Jude Bellingham. I mean, look, the list goes on and on. Saka, we've got some fantastic players being wasted by a coach who hasn't got a clue what he's on about. If you had to pick an English guy as coach, who would it be? Says Alex. Well, yeah, we'll get into that, but let's talk about the England squad. Maddison has made it in. I think that had to happen. I would actually say that the Maddison selection is just typical Southgate posturing for popularity, because you don't need to take Grealish, Maddison, Mount and Foden. I mean, you just don't. So he's bottled that because Maddison should go, but you don't need that. I mean, like, they are literally the same type of player. They are all attacking midfielders who can play off the left. But you don't need to take four of them. So look, obviously he's bottled that. You don't need to take those four players. I would take Maddison because he's bang in form and he's performing as one of the best attacking midfielders in the Premier League for a very, below average side. But you don't take four of them. One of them doesn't go, Gareth. That's not how it works. And I think that just epitomises what he is. He's found a place for Maddison because he doesn't want the backlash. But he's not even clever enough to think, I don't need four of them. I should take three and leave one out. But he won't leave Grealish or Foden or Mount out because they helped me get here. But it's illogical. We're gonna read the squad out anyway because it is actually out now. Let me just go through it. I mean, I'm disgusted by the absence of certain Manchester United players. That's not Manchester United players. I've got Man United on the plane. I'm disgusted by the absence of Tomori. I think the James Ward-Prowse one is a joke as well. But we do have the squad. I mean, Marcus Rashford has named it. James Maddison, Callum Wilson and Marcus Rashford have made the 26-man squad. I'm just looking for the actual official lineup here because it is out, but nobody's bothered to actually just put a tweet out of the entire squad. Here we go. We've got it. So Jordan Pickford, Nick Pope, Aaron Ramsdale. There was no way Dean Henderson was going. There's no way he should have gone. He's got the goalkeepers right. Trent Alexander-Arnold, Connor Cody, Eric Dyer, Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, John Stones, Kieran Trippier, Kyle Walker and Ben White. You know what terrifies me about that? Ben White wouldn't have gone if Reece James had been fit. Prattgate. Disgusted by that. I think the defence is a joke. I think it's an absolute joke. And I'll tell you why. Tomori's not there. Explain this to me. Riddle this to me, okay? We're taking Harry Maguire, who's hardly playing for Manchester United, 29, okay? We're taking Eric Dyer, not playing particularly well for Spurs, 28. We're taking Connor Cody, who I believe is also 29, playing for Everton quite well, to be fair. And John Stones, who I would take, also, I think John Stones is 28. Ben White can play at centre-back, yes, and he can play at right-back. I would have took Ben White. Tomori is in his early, I think he's 23, 24. Like, you've just took four centre-backs who won't be at the next World Cup. I mean, has he ever heard of anything like future planning? Before we get on to ability, future planning. It's bloody ridiculous. All his centre-backs are pushing 30. And none of them are playing particularly well. John Stones has just come back from an injury as well, hasn't he? Kyle Walker, not even played a game for a month. And we'll get onto the midfield in a minute. I think it's a disgrace and we'll get on to Tony in a minute, I think it's a disgrace that Tomori's not going. He won Serie A last year. Oh, we had a couple of bad games in the Champions League when he played an English club. I bet that's the only time Southgate bloody watches him. Tomori should be going because he's the only centre-back that offers something different. What are we going to do? We're going to play a back five with Kyle Walker, aren't we? We're playing a back five with fucking Kyle Walker, Leyton Orient right back with pace. I mean, I like Kyle Walker, but he shouldn't be a bloody centre-back. Just Pep play him as a centre-back. I mean, I'm just stunned by this. We're playing a back five with 4 slow centre-backs. Kyle Walker's there to provide the pace. Tomori should be there. He should be there because he's better than some of the centre-backs we've selected. And he should be there because he's, actually about to approach his prime instead of kick the bucket. Most of those, 29. And some of them aren't even bloody being picked for their team. How do you justify taking players to the World Cup who haven't played all season and have been injured or don't get picked? How do you justify that over first team players who are in form? I mean, this is it. He's just a favourites coach. I despair at the fact that my country is managed by such a boring, conservative, unimaginative coach. We've got so many good players. We've got so much potential. And it's back five, part the bus, isn't it? That's what we're approaching. But I can't believe Tomori's not going. I really think it's bang out of order. And while we're throwing it in there, Chris Smalling should have been part of this fucking squad. I mean, I just think Southgate is so Brexit. He is so closed off. If you aren't playing, I mean, Bellingham's the only one I can think of who regularly gets picked. And I'm sure he'd pick Calvin Phillips if he was fit over Bellingham. But Tomori's been tearing it up in Serie A, as has Chris Smalling, under Jose Mourinho, one of the best defensive coaches ever. And Southgate ignores them. Oh, no. He can't play out from the back. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And what bothers me is Stones, Maguire, Cody, Dyer. I don't see any differential. I don't see something different. I don't see any pace. I don't see a modern centre-back. John Stones is the only one. Maguire, Cody and Dyer, they're all very similar. Like, it's the same as taking Maddison, Grealish, Mount and Foden. Like, where's the differential? Where is the differential? So, no problem with the goalkeepers. Pickford, Pope and Ramsdale. Absolutely spot on. I don't know why we're taking Trent. Why are we taking Trent? He doesn't know what he doesn't know what to do with him anyway. So I don't know why we're taking Trent. I don't know why we're taking Trent because Kyle Walker can play right back and Ben White can play right back. He doesn't like using Trent. So why is he bloody taking him? And who's the backup left back? Again, the mind boggles. He's taking Trent Alexander-Arnold when he's got Kyle Walker, Ben White and Trippier who can all play right back. Why are we taking 4 fucking right backs? And 1 left back in Luke Shaw. Oh, Trippier can play left back. Can he? Okay, we're all right then. Midfield, Bellingham, Connor. I think Conor Gallagher's done really well to go. Really well. I mean, that for me is a shock. I'm surprised that Conor Gallagher's going. I like Conor Gallagher and I'll give that a tick in the box. But Jude Bellingham, Conor Gallagher, Jordan Henderson, Mason Mount, Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice. I mean, again, I've got to say this. You've got to be fuming if you're James Ward-Prowse. I know he plays for unfashionable Southampton. Let me just get some of your comments. Does Gareth watch football outside of England and Phillips cost 60 million and the guy hasn't even played a game for City in weeks, says Nathan. It's disgusting, the Calvin Phillips one, Nathan Allen. If Antony is literally a penalty monster, stupid division, we're going to get on to the attack, Aram. And that annoying thing is I feel Maddison won't get any minutes. Simon Pinero, I'll tell you this for free. James Maddison may as well not go because he's just done what he did with Ivan Toney last time. He picked Toney because everyone demanded it and then he never used him. Maddison's a waste of time because he's not done what needed to be done. He's taken 4 people in one position again. It's like at right back. Trent won't play. He won't use Trent. Trent's just there to appease the media. Like, Maddison's just there to appease the media. They're not going to get picked because he's took too many people in Maddison's position. But look, the midfield, Bellingham, yes. Conor Gallagher, I quite like that. Henderson, I'm 50-50 on Jordan Henderson. I like Jordan Henderson, but do you need to take Jordan Henderson and Calvin Phillips? No, you don't. You don't. Calvin Phillips has gone to Man City and wasn't being picked, and then he got injured and hasn't played for over a month. Why is he going to a World Cup? Absolutely disgusting decision because he's not played any football. And this is how Southgate works. if you helped me get to the World Cup, if you helped me get to the Euros final, you're in my team 2 fucking years ago. Pick a team for now. It's the most form World Cup you will ever have. We're literally playing Premier League on Sunday and then England's game's a week later. The most obvious thing to do is you go for form. Have we gone for form? No, we haven't gone for form. We've gone for favourites. Calvin Phillips shouldn't be there. I would have took Phillips or Henderson, one of the two, and then took Ward-Prowse. I think it's a mistake to take Jordan Henderson and Calvin Phillips. Calvin Phillips has hardly played, and Jordan Henderson has had his own injury problems. So I think that's a mistake. He should have been brave enough to take one of the two. I would have took Henderson. Declan Rice nailed on. Jude Bellingham nailed on. I think Ward-Prowse deserved to go. I know that might be a bit controversial. People will say no, but he offers something very different. Obviously, he's not going to play games anyway. I just don't. I think Henderson and Phillips are the same player now. Like, you go with one of those, and then you take Ward-Prowse, who's something a little bit different. But again, safety in numbers for Southgate. He takes 4 right backs, and he takes 4 attacking midfielders instead of having the balls to leave one of them at home and give a bit of a differential in the squad. So I disagree with that, but there we go. Mason Mount, Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, and James Maddison. I mean, again, it's like right back. This is weak management again. Like, you do not need 4 people who can do the same job. They're all the same player. Obviously, they're very different. Foden's the best. Grealish, Maddison, Mount. Leave one of them at home and give yourself an extra something else. And for me, this has cost us taking a Tammy Abraham or an Ivan Toney. I can't believe what he has done here. I really can't believe what he has done. His striking options, well, his wingers are Saka, Rashford, Sterling, Grealish can play there. His striking out options, Marcus Rashford can play through the middle. But he's taking Harry Kane and Callum Wilson, and he's not taking Tammy Abraham or Ivan Toney. And the reason for that is because he's brought Maddison, but he's also got Foden, Mount, and Grealish. 4 attacking midfielders. Get rid of one of them and bring Ivan Toney. That's what he should have done. Or even Tammy Abraham. But he hasn't. He's completely misbalanced his squad. He's got 4 of the same thing and then 2. The interesting thing here is he will be going, well, Marcus Rashford can play on the wing and he can play up front. So that gives me a little bit of manoeuvrability, which it does. But if Harry Kane gets injured or tired, I like Callum Wilson. I'm not going to say anything bad about Callum Wilson. I do think you can take Callum Wilson, but I think you've got to take another striker as well. Because Callum Wilson's problem is he's being managed at Newcastle. Like, he's being managed. He is nearly 30 or is 30. He has real issues, I think, with his hamstrings. You're taking him to the World Cup to play every 2 or 3 days. And, yeah, I think I like Callum Wilson. I definitely would have found a spot for him. But we should have been taking Ivan Toney as well. Or Tammy Abraham. One of those two are ridiculously unlucky not to go. There's ways you could have found a way of doing that. You could have left Trent at home and brought Toney. You could have done what needed to be done and not took 4 attacking midfielders to pander to the Maddison hype. And I want Maddison in there, but what I'm saying is you don't take Maddison, Mount, Grealish and Foden. They're all very similar. One of them needs to be left at home. So if you're taking Maddison, leave Mount or Grealish at home, because I'm always taking Foden. For me, it's Maddison, Foden, and then one of Mount and Grealish has to be left at home. But he won't do that. So he takes 4 of them, and then you can't take the striker that you need to take. We needed to take Ivan Toney. So I just think it's typical Southgate, and I really hope it's the end for Southgate. Tomori's not been picked. No. Tomori's not been picked. Ward-Prowse hasn't been picked. And Tammy Abraham or Toney haven't been picked. And you know what? You know what the thing is? You know what the thing is? The thing that really pisses me off as well is that he's a contradiction. The centre-back options are laughable, says Alfie. He is a contradiction, this manager, because Tomori has been consistently in the squad. Tammy Abraham has been consistently in the squad, and he's just dumped them. He's dumped them. Ivan Toney was in the last squad. He never gave him a minute, and he's dumped him. Toney, Tomori, and Tammy. He must hate the word T, because he doesn't like picking Trent either. I think Trent's only there because we've had a couple of injuries at right back. So, yeah, I mean, remember, if Ben Chilwell had been fit, I mean, this gets better. If Chilwell had been fit, he would have come. So he'd have to have left Ben White or Trent at home. And if Reece James had been fit, they both would have been left at home. Like, Arsenal fans are only not having a meltdown because Ben White's there. But he's only there because Chilwell and Reece James are injured. He should be there anyway. Southgate only chooses his favourites, says Stuart Walker. I've got to say, because no one will mention about it now, because from next week we're talking about the World Cup, but I will have the class to do it, and I'm sure many of you will. I think the treatment of Tomori and Tammy Abraham is disgraceful, and both of them should be going. To be part of the England squads like they have for so long, and then dumped at the last minute is disgusting. But also, they're both players under around 26. So they are both players that have been in and around that squad who should be in and around a World Cup, because in 4 years' time, most of that squad defensively won't go because Maguire, John Stones and everyone else will be well into their 30s by the time the next World comes. It's really disappointing that at centre-back, he hasn't took a younger centre-back. They're all nearly 30. Short-term planning again. Look, I like Connor Cody. I don't think he's international class. Maguire's... I've got no issue with Maguire going, by the way, but he hasn't played a lot of football. John Stones is our best centre-back. Eric Dyer, I just don't get it. I don't get it with Eric Dyer. Again, take Maguire or Dyer. Take Maguire, and I think the squad's littered with that as well. Cowardice from Southgate, because instead of taking a Tammy or a Tony or a Tomori or a Ward-Prowse, instead of taking one of those players that are different to what you've got and a balanced squad, he's taken too much of something instead of being brave. Like at centre-back, Dyer's very similar to Maguire, very similar to Cody. 3 centre-backs, very similar. One of them shouldn't go, and Tomori should come because he's differential. At right back, you've got Trent, Ben White, Kyle Walker and Trippier. One of those shouldn't go, and it frees you up to bring another striker. In the midfield, you've got Henderson and Phillips. Only one of those should go because they both had issues with injury and Ward-Prowse is fit. Another one. At the number 10 position, Maddison, Foden, Grealish, Mount, all do the same job. Foden's got to go, Maddison's got to go, so one of Mount or Grealish should have been left at home. And then up front, you've got Kane and Wilson. Kane looks exhausted. Wilson is risky because of injury. Oh, we've got Marcus Rashford. Oh yeah, Rashford's not played for England since the Euros. I just want Southgate to go. I really, and I know I've never said this before a World Cup, but even if we get to the final, I want him to go because he won't win the final. And we've been to a semi-final and we've been to a final under Southgate, and the football makes you want to hurl. I'm fed up of it. It's so pragmatic. It's so conservative. It's so mates race. And I just think that I look at that squad and the people that excite me are the Declan Rices, the Bellinghams, the Sakas, the Fodens, the Harry Kanes, you know, even Maddison and Grealish and Mount and you know, I know I've said one of those needs to be left at home. They do, because you can't take too many of one thing. But we're built around defence, aren't we? Do you think Gomez should be in for one of our centre-backs, says Jay? I'm actually, you know what, Jay? Get your thoughts in. I want to get your thoughts. I'm actually stunned that Tom says, what's Gallagher doing there? I mean, look, I don't have a problem with Conor Gallagher going, but has he lit... I mean, look, if you're James Ward-Prowse, you're kicking the sofa. You're injured for the weekend. I mean, he's got to sit there and go... I mean, he's another one, isn't he? Ward-Prowse is a player that's been part of most England squads for the last 2 years. And like Tammy and like Tomori, he's booted him. He's booted him right at the last minute to bring some favourites. But the Conor Gallagher one, I like Conor Gallagher, so I'm not going to have a moan about it. But I've got to say, what has he done this season to force his way into the England setup? I mean, he is quite an exciting one, but you've got to look at it like that, haven't you? And just say... There's so many contradictions. Rocco, thank you very much for your super chat. Mark, do you agree England are nowhere near levels of other nations and we put a bias on our own abilities? I can't believe Phillips has been picked, says Jamie. Look, I've never been a massive advocate of playing Phillips and Rice anyway. I think playing Rice and Bellingham is the way to go. But I do also think that you raise a good point. Dan Burn's been robbed. He's taking so many players in rubbish form. Maguire, Trent, Dyer, Henderson, Sterling, Grealish. It's crazy. And that's the thing, Aram. I'm glad that you've sort of prompted me on that, because I think that is the big thing here. We can all have our own. We can all have our own ideas. Eze deserved a call up, one of the best attackers. Yeah, we can all have our own ideas. We can all have our own ideas about how we want to set it up. But I absolutely do not believe that some of the selections are correct. How is Ward-Prowse not in over Gallagher or Phillips, says Matthew Emerson? Well, yeah, I think that the big thing for me is Calvin Phillips wasn't being picked by Pep Guardiola, and then he got a bad injury, so he's not been playing. You've got Harry Maguire, who again has not been playing much for Manchester United. I would take Maguire, by the way. You've got Jordan Henderson, again, had his own injury problems, not playing particularly well. Raheem Sterling, always going to go, but yeah, admittedly, is not playing well. Eric Dyer, I don't think is playing well for Spurs and has only just got back in. So I feel that we've taken so many players that, in my opinion, just do not deserve to be there. And we are playing a World Cup that is 100% about continuity. It's about form. And he's gone with favourites. If I picked England's best squad, I'm just going through it here. If I went through England's best squad, best team under Southgate, right? So let me get this right. I'm just typing this in here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, by the way. So if I type this in here, this is England's best 11. Matthew Emerson says, how is Ward-Prowse in over Gallagher? Southgate couldn't have picked a better squad than that. It's coming home, says Pranks. For Chelsea, Gallagher can't play midfield too. He's more of a cam, so why is he going, not joining Ward-Prowse? Would rather have Dunk and Webster over Cody. So if he's an attacking midfielder, and he's hardly played for Chelsea this season, says Simon Pinero. Was happy with Gareth until the Euros final. He honestly makes present-day Moyes tactics look like Pep's, says Belka. I look at that England lineup and I really think that if you go with form, you've got Pickford in goal. You've got Trippier at right back, playing well. Stones and Maguire. Maguire's not playing well. Luke Shaw has come into form. Rice and Bellingham. I don't have a problem with that. Mount's not playing particularly well. Foden, he never gets anything out of. Grealish, not playing well for Man City, really. Maddison, he won't pick ahead of those three. Maddison's just there for the plane ride, let's be honest. Maddison's not going to get any game time. Sterling's playing badly. Kane looks knackered. Saka's playing well. So there's a lot of players that are out of form. And then he's gone and picked a load of people that are just his favourites. Ward-Prowse has fifth most covered distance last season, is the best set-piece taker and a great all-round player, defence to defence. He plays every week. I agree with you, Nips. I knew I was going to be reacting to this squad in this way. Kane out of form. First I heard that. I don't think Kane's in good form. Tupo. Correct me if I'm wrong. Spurs are a bit shit. You create next to nothing. So I don't think Kane's firing on all cylinders, and I think he's doing a lot of running, and I think he looks tired. But how many of this squad is not playing in the Premier League, says Hamp. Bellingham. You say you want form but would pick Tammy, says Hayden. No, I would have gone with Tony. I think it's absolutely essential that we took another striker. Callum Wilson is banging form, but he's injury prone. Harry Kane is tired. Marcus Rashford isn't really a forward. I think we needed to take another striker. And whether it's Tony or Tammy Abraham, one of those two needed to go. And that was a mistake. We've taken way too many right backs. We've taken way too many attacking midfielders. And Ward-Prowse should have gone instead of Conor Gallagher or Henderson or Phillips. But for me, Phillips shouldn't be there. So I don't mind Conor Gallagher being there. I don't mind Henderson being there, but Phillips shouldn't even be there. Like, he's literally going to get his match fitness in training for England. I mean, I've watched football so much over the years, as have many of you. I remember David Beckham breaking his metatarsal and going to the World Cup. He was fit, but he was never fit. Because match fitness comes from having a month of club football before you go to a World Club. And Beckham didn't have that. And Rooney did it as well. They're not fit. They play, but they're not really fit. And we're taking a player. In fact, we're taking two. Kyle Walker and Calvin Phillips are not match fit. Because they've not played any bloody matches. I want to know your thoughts on Guehi not making the squad. Could you have considered him over Cody or Dyer? I mean, Ryan, I think he's been called up for the England squad as well. In the past. Simon said, my dad's a Chelsea fan. I've watched a lot of them this season. Mount and Gallagher are so similar, it's insane. Waste of pick on two players with very similar attributes, says Simon. Simon, I mean, you make a great point. Now that the squads have been released, who wins it, says Alexis. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if England grind their way to a semi-final. I mean, we are capable of grinding it out. I would have watched Welbeck rather than Sterling, says Aram. But if Conor Gallagher's an attacking midfielder, and James Ward-Prowse is, and Mason Mount is, and Jack Grealish is, and Phil Foden is, why are we taking 5 attacking midfielders when we'll only ever pick one? He plays a 5-3. He plays a 5-2-3-1. Saka will be on one wing, Sterling will be on the other, Harry Kane will be up front, Rice and Bellingham will play. One attacking midfielder will get. I mean, and this is the genius of Southgate. He'll play one attacking midfielder, which means only one out of Mount, Conor Gallagher, Foden, Grealish, and Maddison will play. But he's took 5 people for that position. 5 for one position. It's madness. It's madness. And 5-2-3-1 adds to 11. So no. No, that can't be right. 5-2-3. Well, where does bloody Mason Mount play? So if he plays a back 5 and then he plays Bryce and Bellingham, 5-3-2. Won't even play with another fucking number 10 then, will he, if he plays a back 5? It's even worse. Breaking news. Bloody hell. So if he plays a back 5 and he plays Rice and Bellingham and then he plays Kane and Sterling and Saka, he won't even pick Mount, Grealish, Foden, Bellingham, Maddison or Conor Gallagher. Argentina to beat England in the final, says Robert. Southgate out and Goldbridge in, says Cal. Well, I'm doing my Twitch stream at 3 o'clock. I could manage this team better than that, Pratt. Most of you. And none of those attacking midfielders you just mentioned can play in a pivot. We have no depth, says Simon Pinero. Yeah, I mean, look, he might play a 4-3-3. He might play a 4-3-3, in which case he can pick one of his attacking midfielders. My point remains that he hasn't gone for enough differentials. His centre-backs are all very similar, and he should have took a Tomori. He's took way too many right-backs, and he could have took a striker. I mean, Trent, Trippier, Walker, White. You only need 3 max. Leave Trent at home, take Tammy or Tony. In the midfield, you only need 1 of Phillips and Henderson. Leave one of them at home, bring Ward-Prowse. In the attacking midfield position, you don't need 5. You don't need Gallagher, Maddison, Foden, Grealish and Mount. You don't even play with a team that uses attacking midfielders. So one of them or 2 of them should have been left at home. Bring another striker. He's just done what Southgate does. He's trying to please people. He's trying to keep the dressing room happy. He doesn't want to make brave decisions. He's Mr. Conservative in his waistcoat. I wouldn't be surprised if Southgate gets the sack if he went for Prime Minister next or leader of the Tory party, because he's so conservative. It's unreal. But look, I wouldn't be surprised if England still did reasonably well in the World Cup. And let's not forget, the FA are as responsible as Southgate. They keep employing these type of managers, whether it's McLaren, whether it's Hodgson, whether it's Capello, whether it's Southgate. It's very conservative. It's very pragmatic football. And it's not what we should be doing with the talent that we've got. If back 5, Foden, Sterling, Kane. If back 4, Saka, 2, says Robert McCormack. Yeah, we've got too many attacking midfielders. Way too many attacking midfielders. But look, at the end of the day, my hope is that we have a reasonable tournament and we sack Southgate. How has Harvey Elliott missed out, says Fever's got no chance. The thing I've been saying for weeks, and the way I would coach, is that this World Cup is unique. It's not in the summer. It's not about me saying to my regulars, go out and do what you can for your team, and then we'll regroup in the summer. We'll have a few weeks together and we'll get in the groove for the World Cup. This is a tournament that's smack in the middle of the season. You've got 1 week between Premier League finishing and the start of the Premier League. It is absolutely obvious that you have to pick players who are in form if you want to have a chance. You can't pick players who've been injured or sat on the bench because they won't be match fit. And what has he done is predominantly pick players that he knows that have done a job for him in the past, who are either out of form, injured or sat on the bench. And he's left players out who are playing regularly and in form. Mikael Roach, welcome to the Members Club. So I'll run through the squad again for you. Goalkeepers, Pickford, Pope, Aaron Ramsdale, Trent, Connor Cody, Eric Dyer, Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, John Stones, Kieran Trippier, Kyle Walker, Ben White. 4 right backs, 1 left back and 3 centre backs who are very similar. In the midfield, you've got Bellingham, Conor Gallagher, Henderson, Mount, Kelvin Phillips and Declan Rice. And then you've got Foden, Grealish, Harry Kane, Maddison, Rashford, Saka, Sterling and Callum Wilson. For me, Tomori had to go. One of Tammy Abraham or Tony had to go. And Ward-Prowse should have gone as well. Those 3 are ridiculously unlucky not to go. But am I surprised? No, I'm not. And what I would say is what I said before. For all the Arsenal fans who are happy that Ben White's going, remember, it only took James or Chilwell to be fit, and he wouldn't have took White or Trent. So it's nice that Ben White should have been picked, 100% should have been picked, but he wouldn't have been picked if Reece James or Chilwell had been fit. And that's, again, would have been another talking point. Mark, do you agree the fundamental structure of the FA needs to change and we need to stop accepting mediocrity? Too many times have we settled for number 2. This is Jamie Bourne. Well, I'm English. You know, that's who I am. But I think I'm very different. And I think there's a new breed of English fans that are like me. We as the English, we just will buy the shirts, we'll sing the songs. We'll be singing the song about Southgate in a couple of weeks. You know, that bloody rubbish Atomic Kitten song. And that other classic song that's been ruined by Southgate, Sweet Caroline. They'll all be singing that because at the end of the day, most English football fans love finishing second or whatever. But I think there's a new breed of England fan that just completely and utterly has had enough of the FA and the Southgate reign and is looking at the quality that is running through that team and cannot... I mean, Phil Foden's one of the most talented players England have had. And Southgate does not know what to do with him. Trent Alexander-Arnold is the best attacking right-back in the world, and he doesn't know how to use him, even though he plays a back 5. We have got amazing talent at England, and he plays more defenders than attackers. It should be the other way around. Sancho had no chance of being in the squad, Mikael Roach, and that's a correct decision. I don't get why he always avoids Sancho. I mean, there's no way that Sancho was going to go, and I'm not even going to argue that we should. Anyway, I'm on Twitch in half an hour showing you how to manage at the lower levels, but records will be broken. Thanks everyone for watching. The highlights for episode 2 of Football Manager went up a couple of hours ago, so give them a watch, and I will see you live on Twitch at 3 o'clock. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. I'll speak to you all in a bit.